Cannot reproduce?
Not real.
What about eating? Do non-living things eat?
What about
Maybe.
what about other things like
No eating, no, they don't eat.
Hold on 1 second, Mr. Griswold. What were you saying, Mr.
like water is decreased dehydration?
That's what I got. No. Wait, pardon? Like for water, yeah, water is not a thing. You said decreased hydration. That's
Okay.
characteristic.
Decreased dehydration. Or it hydrates?
Living things hydrate?
No,
No, not everything. Like water. Water can't doesn't live.
I don't know if that's related to hydration, but I understand what you're saying.
It
So, well, because
It's a
water
non-living
is,
thing.
I'm sorry?
It's
Water doesn't live, and it decreases
So what about
dehydration.
water doesn't live though? What about water doesn't live?
Water, period.
Okay, but why? Why don't you think that's living?
Made hydrogen and oxygen, right?
Yeah, so that's no cells, right? That's something different, those are atoms. Yeah. Last one, Mr. Brooks?
I was going to say that they are atoms.
They are atoms, yeah. So let's say no cells, atoms instead. So make sure that you have written this on slide 7. And now let me tell you what, I know you guys have a lot of questions. This is awesome. By the end of the period, we're going to have answers to all of it. It's really good that you're bringing this up. What I would like you to do now, I have actually the official definition of living versus non-living. And please do write this down. This is slide 8.
We can read.
What's interesting is that nobody brought up that non-living or that living things can die, right? But also nobody said that death is non-living.
But what about a water bear? It can't die.
Water bears can die eventually, but we can't find force to kill them right now.
We have cells.
We can't destroy. This is the official, so Mr. Gower says we're not really defining living. You're totally right. There are actually several ways that we define what is alive and what is not alive, and we're going to discover what those are today. But this is the definition that you get when you look it up. Anything that is or has ever been alive, and non-living is anything that is not now nor has ever been alive. Put your hand up in the air when you're done with your notes so that I know when I can move on. Write this down quickly. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. Cool. So, what we're actually going to do right now, we're going to watch a quick video clip, Mr. Green and Mr. Harvey, a series of living and non-living things. And we're going to figure out ourselves what that actually means. So while we're watching this video, you're going to get about 7 different non-living and or living things. And we're going to figure out whether or not they're living based on the list that we just came up with. So what I would like you to do right now, if you look on your note sheet, this is slide 9. And I'm going to go ahead and write our top 4 characteristics that we came up with to use for this video. So out of the living things, which ones would we like to put in the data table to classify whether or not it's living? Mr. Bowers? I would say reproduce is pretty important. So let's go ahead and write this right here. What's another big one, Mr. LaRue? Cells, I think, is really big. Yeah, nice job. What about the third one, Mr. Ali?
Adaptation.
Well, we didn't actually put that in our living, but that's important. But Mr. Griffin said eat, and what about?
Oxygen.
Yeah.
I would say breathe.
Motion.
Oxygen.
Let's actually temporarily.
Oxygen.
Breathe, bro.
Instead of breathe, I say oxygen.
Same thing. Cellular
Yeah,
respiration
but it just sounds better.
is oxygen. I think oxygen sounds better.
Breathe.
Just saying oxygen.
How about-
I'm talking to Ms. Buster.
It doesn't actually define the term
How about
as
breathe
breathing.
/ oxygen?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Buster.
You're welcome. What about?
That's correct, sir.
And we already have growth up here, right? I think that's good for now.
Plants reproduce.
We don't think movement is important.
Nah.
Now, since both of them can move.
Let's add. How about we add one more
No,
column?
that's what it's time because all complete.
Okay.
You don't have to if you want to. please? Thank you so much. So here I have a plant. There's an X where it says grows, because plants grow, right? Do plants reproduce? Yes. Do plants have cells? Yes. Do plants eat?
Yes.
And do plants breathe?
Yes.
Do plants move?
Yes. Yes, they do.
They
Very
sway
slowly.
the
They can.
They move when they grow, but that's already growth, right?
They
Or they
sway the
move
wind.
by
And outside.
wind or an outside force. We already decided it's not
about
living.
No, they got a
No,
plant.
because
Except the Venus flytrap.
no,
I brought that up my first.
what about
I need to look into that.
like because when a fly touches
What about that plant that eats flies?
things on the Venus flytrap, that's what makes it work.
Yeah, the Venus flytrap was right on my first period. I need to look it up because I'm not sure how this.
A bean spot trap move.
It's another one, it's
But
another
that's-
one. It's another one.
Let's say that plants usually don't move unless they're growing or they're getting pushed by an outside force. So when we talk about movement, how about if we define it as moving on its own? Okay. So now the first one in this video is going to be icicles. Notice that icicles has already been checked for growing because icicles do grow, right? They can get larger depending on how cold it gets, right?
They don't reproduce.
You're right. That is an outside
They
force.
don't reproduce, they don't have cells, they don't eat, they don't breathe.
I would say.
What about the lag?
You right.
So what we're gonna do.
So how do they grow? I thought we were counting outside.
In the cold air, yeah.
Well, notice that it's listed under not living. So moving for not living, I guess is how you classify that. So while we're watching this video, you're going to work with your partner. I'm going to pause it every now and then. You're going to work with your partner to see what these different living and non-living things categorize into. And then we will revise our list of living and non-living characteristics. So the first one you already have on your sheet is icicle. So go ahead and fill out the rest of that row for icicle. It's moving. But is it alive? You put an X if it does. So let's pause for icicle.
Cell.
Does it have cells?
No.
Does it breathe? Work with your partner. I'm just talking real fast.
Cell is the next thing we're going.
Yeah, for a living.
Yeah, it's reused from this list here. What about
Cell, is it
cells?
living or not?
I don't know.
I already know this is a living.
They are cells, though. If they don't,
That's just cells.
Yeah, but you know,
The one before was cell. Take a second to figure out cells.
Mr. Kirby's daughter named River, and she's alive.
Come on, man, let's be real.
The next one is river. Is it moving?
It's water.
Is it eating? Yes.
It's only moving. So talking to you.
It's safe. It's a seed.
Whoa, not that.
I figured it out.
How I know what to write.
So if you're not sure whether or not it's living or non-living, that's okay. Just write it down anywhere on that table and still continue to put X's in for what it does. The purpose of this is to figure out exactly what all living things have and what all non-living things have.
wait,
Okay.
what that happened?
It was a seed turning into a plant. You're right. Take a second to think seed.
So it's everything that
It's what?
everything that's a plant.
It's the beginning of a plant.
Right.
So it grows.
That's worse.
Cloud.
They do.
Yeah.
Clouds don't reproduce, they grow.
They can grow.
Clouds grow. I wouldn't say they reproduce. Clouds are formed separately, right? Next one is clock.
this is assessment.
Let's pause it. So that was cloud and clock. Yep, clock. Like a grandfather clock.
Well, it's not reproduce because it comes right back to the same time.
What's the definition of reproduction?
To make another.
Does it make another clock? No. So it goes has a cycle. Oh, it revolves. Kind of, yeah. So the next one is coral. Coral are the beautiful structures that are at the bottom of the ocean with the fish hanging out. Coral reefs like finding evil.
Coral is a living item.
Say a second, coral.
They'll eat you.
They do.
We ready for fire?
No, fire good thinking.
Fire can grow.
Any more corals?
But it
Why
grows
you
from
go
what?
back
It grows from what though?
Outside force,
But what about a growth?
Volcano, volcano has fire.
Shut up.
Therefore, it's something natural.
It's there for what?
Therefore, it's something natural.
Oh my God.
Where does natural appear on this list?
That would be like living, like.
Fire is though.
Fire is living because of.
Let's group that in volcanoes.
Fire can grow.